just going to read to you these beautiful and inspirational words. This is for you to keep. You could take it home if it inspires you. Keep it next to you. Beautiful words of the Rebbe. Mr. Anonymous, Springfield, Massachusetts. Excuse me for that. I never say Massachusetts, right? Okay, greetings and blessings. Your letter of the 22nd of Cheshvan reached me with some delay, and this is the first opportunity for me to acknowledge it. With regard to the business venture about which you write, it is clear that the general conditions which affect the problem, as well as those specific ones that you mention in your letter, are of nature which change from time to time. Indeed, as you write, this is also the reason that caused the problem of financing. At any rate, it seems at this moment that the next step does not depend on you, as you don't seem to have any options to choose from. So listen to this. The only suggestion I could make to you is one that may appear mystical, but it has been borne out by experience and proved quite practical. I have in mind the idea that when a Jew strengthens his bond with the source of wisdom, which is in God, he gains wisdom and understanding also in mundane affairs, which helps him to decide what to do and what not to do in matters of business and the like. Needless to say, by strengthening one's bond with the source of true wisdom and understanding is meant the actual observance of the mitzvahs which God set forth in His Torah, of which it is written, "This is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of all nations." So basically what the Rebbe is saying is that as much as tonight's evening we're going to hopefully fill everyone's minds with great tips and ideas on business management, in Judaism we have a special secret weapon, and that is that when we connect our minds with Hashem and we fulfill His mitzvahs, He gives us an extra insight. So this is something to always cherish and hold in your memory. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to call up tonight's moderator. It's a great privilege and honor for me to be calling him up. He's somebody who has, as CHYE is something that's really been in the planning for over a year. It's been more than a year. We did our first event 3 months ago, but it was building up over a year. I talked to many people, spoke to many people, went to many places. One of the people that was very, very helpful to me in hashing out my ideas and giving me fresh ideas is tonight's moderator. He is the CEO and co-founder of Ajax Union. This is Mr. Yossi Applebaum. Yossi has helped businesses grow for the past decade. He is a certified Google trainer and talks about online marketing at seminars and conferences regularly, and it's my pleasure to call him up to be the moderator for tonight's evening.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to the CHYE Manage It event. First of all, I want to start by thanking Rabbi Wordy for all his hard work with the organization, and specifically with this event and all the other events. Let me introduce the panelists. So the first panelist I want to introduce is sitting right here. His name is Meir Eichler. Meir Eichler started a Judaica store in 1977, 36 years ago, called Eichler's. And it grew over the years to be the largest Judaica store in the U.S. Meir is also, in 2004, he head up a bank in New York. He started a bank, opened up a bank, and was the vice chairman of the board of the bank, and it grew to be a $200 million institution. He is currently the senior vice president of Signature Bank, a $15 billion institution ranked by Forbes and others as the 5th healthiest bank in the country. So that's Meir. We also have with us Jack Silverstein, Chef Jack Silverstein, the co-founder and CEO of Jack's Gourmet, a national kosher company producing authentic handcrafted deli meats and sausages. Jack is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. The original one, the big one, the main one. And he also had the unique opportunity to work for the food section in the LA Times. And he began his professional cooking career at the tender age of 13. He even mentioned to me that at the age of 7 he was cooking muffins in his kitchen. So Jack gives us the honor to be here to answer some questions about business. Thank you very much for being here. And then we also have Zevi Friedman, the co-founder and president of Ajax Union. person that I have the privilege to work with every single day for the past 5 years, helped grow our business significantly. Zevi has previously worked as the Senior Vice President of the Elephant Group and grew the company to be a $200 million company, working with companies like DirecTV and Dish Network and Vonage. Zevi lives in Midwood with his family and his 5 kids. Okay, so we're going to start off with the questions now. And I urge everybody that's here to take notes during the answers that we're going to be giving and the questions, of any ideas, of any inspiration that you might have, any keywords that you could think of, anything that comes to your mind, some action that you can take. It's very important to listen and to learn, but it's more important to do. So remember to define what you're going to be doing as a result of what you're learning today. So here are some questions that I'm going to be asking. I'm going to start with Meir. Meir, how important is education to someone managing their business, and what resources would you recommend specifically for young entrepreneurs that helped you specifically in your career in retail and in the banking industry?
First of all, good evening to everybody. I think that the show of attendance this evening just shows of how important the need for such an organization to exist in Crown Heights is. And kudos to Rabbi Werdy for getting it together and making it happen. He called on a bunch of people from the community advisory boards, which formed an advisory board, which worked with him closely to help him formulate and actuate the actual ideas that and events. When I was a young guy, I remember wanting to do what Rabbi Werdy has actually accomplished, and it's about 25 years later, but it's really great to see. So that's the opening that I would like to start with. Now, with regard to your question on education, I think education is extremely important, but I don't think it's the beginning. I don't think it's the beginning of it and the end all. I think that people need to have a real focus, a real passion, a real like of what they want to do, and then a lot of the other things will fall into place. In our community, secular education is not necessarily something that we are strongest in during the yeshiva years. And just because of that doesn't mean that we are lacking, but it might mean that we might need to make it up in some other ways. And the way we do that is through really having a passion. You're gonna hear that word from me all night. Passion is very important to success. And then after passion follows education, interest, and so on.
So what do you say to people that don't want to get started with their business and they're not sure they know everything yet, they're not sure they learned enough, and they want to spend more time in college? To those people that are focusing more and saying, oh, I don't know enough, I don't want to get my business started, what would you say to them?
I think that they need to have a general direction of where they want to focus. And I think that once they've defined that, then they should continue the education. But you are never going to reach full education. You're going to learn every step of the way. And that is, you have to really get going to do. At the same time, you have to educate yourself. Now, I've had, over the years, Baruch Hashem, many, many people working for me, many very smart people. One of them is a well-known member of the community, and he is one of the foremost programmers that I've ever met. He's worked with me for many years in Eichler's and many other companies that he's helped. And this is a gentleman that came from Russia. I don't think he knew how to speak English when he came here. He never went to a course, he never went to school, he never went to college, he never went to, and I once asked him, how are you able to program these amazing things? And we've had really some interesting stuff that he's programmed for us. And he says, what do you mean? I went, I bought the book, I studied it, and I'm able to do it. Not everybody's able to do that. I tried that a couple of times and I failed miserably. But you have to be able to then identify those people that actually can do that.
Yeah, so one of the greatest thing about experience is the tool for learning. So getting started, getting your hands dirty sometimes might be the best way. So the next question, thank you very much. So the next question I'll pose to Jack. Jack, when managing a business, one can caught up with the day-to-day activities, get caught up with what they're doing, with their business, with cash flow, with things that that limit them in terms of strategy. How did you step back from that and kind of have a strategy to be able to think out of the box to grow the businesses that you were able to grow?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here and see everybody here. To answer your question, I think the first thing you do before you start a business is you have an idea. And when you have an idea, you write down your idea, you think about it in many different ways. The first thing, what I like to do is if I'm going to turn that idea into a business, or I turn that idea into part of the business, I write down the goals and the objectives for that idea, whatever it is. And I write it down on a piece of paper, and I put it somewhere in a spot that I know that I have access to it. And I go back to it over and over and over again. And whatever I'm doing, I always have that in mind. So in order to not get caught up with the day-to-day, the little things, you have to focus, and I focus on the big picture, whether it's the company or a certain aspect of the company, and I keep those things in mind so that I don't lose track of it. The little tiny details, I then, you delegate on to other people, and that's why having a very important team around you is so important. But the main job is to focus on the big picture.
The strategy. Thank you very much. Okay, so for the third question, I'm going to be asking Zevi. Zevi, a lot of people talk about passion. The mayor brought up passion. And I know that you have a tremendous amount of passion for what you do, a tremendous amount of passion for helping people and for marketing specifically. How important is passion? Because some people that we speak to don't necessarily have passion for what they're doing. They're just trying to make money. And how do you see passion helping people succeed?
Okay, first of all, thank you all for coming, and thank you for inviting me. When I sat here at this panel, I thought that Jack was going to say, "You are what you eat," and being that he didn't say that, I'm happy, because at least it gives me a tagline to go by. But you are what you're passionate about, and every business, and Mayor touched on this, and I got to say that I've spoken to Mayor for several hours in the past, and he's given me a lot of guidance in terms of business and business strategy. We are what we're passionate about. As people, as individuals, each one of us has something that's important to them. Each person here has something that they consider important and special to them. That is who you are. You are defined by what you're passionate, and you have to be able to take that passion, you have to be able to maneuver that to figure out a way to make that work for you. Most of you sitting here, you're here because you want to weigh, you're looking for a better strategy, a good tip, a direction to be able to take your business, your career, to be able to motivate yourself to get to the next level. And I just want to touch and combine that question with something that Mayor mentioned. Education comes secondary, but a person that has a passion for anything, education is important because it becomes one with your passion. I could tell you that I could speak firsthand for some blogs that we work with. Joe's wife has a blog, and I just want to mention it. Her blog has thousands and thousands of visitors on it. She's not doing it for a business. She's doing it because it's her passion. When you're passionate about something, it becomes viral. Other people look at it. Other people feel that energy. And that's what gives not only you a lift, and that's not what only drives you to become more educated and to become more knowledgeable. It gives you that self-gratification to be able to accomplish much more. And I want to tell you something about passion. Important people have a certain aura about them. When they walk into a room, when they get up to speak, people look at them. People feel connected with them. People want to be with them. People want to learn from them. Why? Why is that? The reason is because they have a tremendous amount of self-confidence in what they're talking about or what they're involved in their tzedakahs, in their organizations, in their businesses. And that attracts other people. It's magnetic. But you can use that same energy. If you're magnetic, to your own business, you could use that passion to ignite a tremendous spark within yourself and to learn more about your own field. Whether your field is limited because you think it's limited, I was once taught, and I mentioned this many times, I was once taught that there is no business that cannot be successful. I believe, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, I believe it is a Mishnah at the end of Kedushin that says that there is ein umnis, that you cannot be, every business, every strategy that you can come up with, you can be successful at that strategy.
What would you tell people that that are doing something right now and they're not passionate about it, but they're making some money and they're not passionate about it? What would you tell people?
Find a passion. Find a passion within something that you're doing. There is an aspect of what you're involved in that you will be passionate or can be passionate about, and that will make you successful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'm going to move on back to Mayor. Thank you, Zevi. Mayor, talking about focus a little bit, what are some good ways to help somebody focus on what's important when managing a business? You know, it's easy to get carried away, especially today with attention deficit hate donuts. People get carried away at, you know, they have the attention span that lasts 140 characters, which is about 7 seconds. So how do you help people stay in focus?
Well, number one, you know, turn off the internet a little bit, turn off your computer, make yourself some quiet time. I jotted down a couple of things that, you know, while I was thinking about this event over the last few days, and I was saying to myself, what are important things? First of all, the reason we're here tonight, or the organization that's made us come here, that attracted us to come here, is a mentor organization. When I started Eichler's in 1977, at the ripe age of 20 years old, I think I was, or 21, you can now do the math as to how old I am. What I did is I'll tell you what I did. There was a store on Kingston Avenue. There still is the store, actually. It was owned by a gentleman by the name of Shlomi Drimmer. And Shlomi had then the Judaica store, which is today called Crown Heights Judaica, I believe. And I went to him. He was a friend of mine from, you know, when we were younger. And I said, Shlomi, I'm opening a store, and I need instructions. I need help. I need introductions. And he was very giving. And he helped set the pace for Eichler's. One of the key things I did when I started Eichler's was I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up outside of New York, and I had exposure to, I think, a different kind of America than you sometimes will get just by staying in New York. And one of the things that I learned in the world of banking over the last 8-9 years was something called best practices. Meaning, I used best practices in Eichler's well before I even know what the word meant. But best practices means that anything you do, any business you choose, any way to make a living you do it in the best way possible. Don't compromise on the quality of the things you're going to do, because everything else falls into place once you're doing the best you can do. Sometimes we tend to fudge a little bit. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. We'll cut this corner. The minute you cut corners, it might not be evident to your customers, to your clients immediately. It might not even be to you. You won't feel it. But let me tell you, you've already compromised. You've stepped on a slippery slope, and it will hurt you. So best practices is an important thing, and I don't want to keep my answers too long. The most other important thing that I would say is meet as many people as you possibly can.
Networking, right?
Networking, absolutely. Networking is key. And use this program. This program, CHYE's program about mentoring. Sign up. You are going to avail yourself of people in your industry, in the areas of your interest, people that have been there, done that. It doesn't mean that we know better than you. We can just tell you some of the pitfalls, and then you can evaluate it on your own.
It's not what you know, it's who you know, right?
It definitely is part of the equation.
Okay, so thank you very much. I recently went to an event in New York City, and I heard a very powerful speaker by the name of Warren Rustand speak, and he said that if you lose your money, you lost nothing. If you lose your health, you lost something. But if you lose your integrity, you lost everything. So with that, I want to ask Jack to tell us a little bit about how integrity and honesty came to play sometimes in a challenging way during his career in the food industry?
I feel like I won a prize because I love this type of question. Honesty and integrity it defines who you are as a person, and it defines everything that you do, whether it's in business or in your personal life. Everybody, is willing to work with somebody or will work with somebody who's honest or dishonest, but if you build up any sort of reputation of being dishonest or lacking in integrity, you're burned. Nobody's going to work with you. It's going to be very difficult to do anything. In the business world, no matter what you do, everybody talks. Especially in the food industry, everybody talks about everybody else. And so you have to be, honest. You have to be forthright, and hopefully that is who you are as a person. Examples of how this, play in is, when I deal with companies, when I deal with, for example, I have vendors and I have customers. I try to be as honest, as forthright with them as possible. Something that just happened to me recently was I'm a growing company. I'm a year and a half old, and we're growing very, very rapidly. We're now, we're in over 25 states in the U.S. Our product is sold. We're in South America. I'm, going into new product lines, into new areas of the food industry. And, as most new businesses, one of the issues that you have is cash flow. You have your accounts receivable. You have
meet Mayor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mayor can help you with the cash
Mayor
flow.
and I talked for 5 minutes before. We have a meeting set up afterwards. But right, is this true? One of the biggest issue that a new company faces is cash flow. You're making money, but you're usually spending money faster than you're making it because you're growing the business. And so there's ways to deal with that, but it's a huge issue, and it's a stumbling block for a lot of businesses. So one of the situations that I had was that I have my accounts receivable, that's the money coming in, but I have bills that are due sooner. And, I have the way I work is, as follows. So I had a bill that was due for one of my vendors. It was a nice sized bill. I didn't have the money in my account to pay it the day it was due. And I knew this the day before, and I procrastinated a little bit, and the day it was due, I didn't have the money in my account. So I called up the gentleman who runs the company who I deal with, and I told him, I said, listen, I don't have the money to pay you today. I will have the money within 3 to 5 days. I guarantee that. Can you extend me the courtesy of giving me the time? And he said, Jack, absolutely. He said, I was in your shoes too. I understand exactly what it's like. Not a problem. So I paid him in 3 to 5 days. The opposite of that is I had a customer. They're still a customer. We work things differently now. But, the bill was due. I sent them a payment reminder, and I got an email response, the check is in the mail. I'm sure everybody, you guys have all
Check is in the
experienced
mail.
the check's in the mail. Okay, fine. They were based in the Midwest, somewhere in the Midwest. So I figured 5 days it'll come. A week went by, no check. So I called him up. I said, I never received the check. He said, don't worry, it's coming. Okay, I'm naive. I waited a couple more days, no check. So I called him up. He said, okay, I'm cutting the check. It's going to come. I'm going to send it out today. You'll receive it in a few more days. He told me the check was in the mail. Okay, so there's a little bit of dishonesty there. It might not be, some people might not say it's a lie. They might say he's stalling, but the bottom line is he was dishonest about it. And I said to him, all you had to tell me was that you're having difficulty paying me. We'll work something out. I want to do business with you. You want to do business with me. We could figure out how to make this work, whether it's a payment plan or you'll tell me realistically when you could pay me. Fine. But the bottom line is he kind of burned himself a little bit because now I don't trust him. So I kept him as a customer. What I do, which I found to be very good, anytime he places an order, he sends me a check beforehand, and I hold on to the check. And either, the way we have it now is I cash the check when it's due, and thankfully it clears his account, and he built up trust for that. So without honesty, you can't get anywhere. And again, just this example of being an honest person will open a lot of doors. You'll make a lot of friends. People will want to work with you because you'll have built up a reputation of being somebody that they don't have to worry about. A dishonest person, somebody who lacks integrity or honesty, nobody wants to work with them, and they can never truly be successful in the end without it.
And thank you very much. And it's something that you don't build in one day. It takes time, especially with the credit score. It's something that takes a reputation and time, and the more people that you meet, the more opportunity you have to show them that you have integrity and honesty. So that's really important. Thank you. Okay, so the next question, we're going to move on to Q&A soon, so I hope all of you have been paying attention and writing questions down, and if you haven't, now is a good time to start. So I'm going to ask Zevi a question about leadership. So Zevi, what are some of the qualities and skills of leadership, and I say skills because people need to be trained to be leaders, and how did you and your team learn to be able to improve on them?
Okay, leadership, and as you mentioned, leadership, there are some natural abilities of people that are leaders, people that are able to guide, but I would definitely say that lead is by example. When you want to show somebody, whether it's a worker in your factory and you're looking to show or direct the person as to the proper way to load a truck up, lead by example. You're looking for somebody to manage your accounting, or you're looking for somebody to put together spreadsheets and formulas, lead by example. Get involved in what they're doing to show them what you're expecting and how you would do it, and that it's not beneath yourself to get involved in every aspect of the business. One of the most important things that I find with leadership is that you have to realize that every person that works together with you, and every person that works for you, and every person that works with other people that are interrelated with you, those people have a certain respect and a certain eye on you at all times. And when you let down your guard, generally those people see that. My recommendation as far as leadership is concerned, look at how you would effectively perceive other people, identify some of those strengths and weaknesses, and take advantage of trying to show your team, your coworkers, your bosses, your employees, how and what you would expect from them. And that's the best leader. Lead by example.
Thank you very much, Zevi. So I think I'm going to move on to I'm going to ask one more question, even though I have a couple more, and I'm going to move on to the Q&A right after this question. I'm going to end up with Meir, asking him a question about self-confidence. So Meir, it's something that you touched upon, Zevi, and so Meir, what would you recommend doing to have better self-confidence and personality, and to grow as a professional, to be able to make your business successful?
Self-confidence, the opposite of self-confidence is lack of confidence. Lack of confidence comes lack of preparation. If you're not knowledgeable in what you're doing, if you're fudging, if you are not prepared, you won't have confidence. The opposite of that is good preparation will give you confidence. I've gone into meetings many times over the years, and I felt nervous beforehand, but if I came in prepared, I would sit with people that, in the world of banking sometimes, and in high finance, you wind up sitting in with some really smart people. But I found that whenever I've prepared, and if I know my material, and if I know what I want to say and what I want to think about and what I want to convey, I have no issue with self-confidence, and I think everybody in this room and everybody anywhere, prepare, know your material, know what you want. A lot of times I find people come and they don't, as a banker, and people are telling me about their business, and it takes a while till I'm able to elicit from them, what do you want? What do you need? What is the question? What is the perception? What is the need? So I say the key to self-confidence is preparation.
Thank you very much. That was very
Can I
good.
add that?
Sure. You want to add something, Jack?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that a little bit. One of the things that I find useful is challenge yourself. For example, if you have issue meeting new people, if you're afraid of that, if it bothers you, go out on your own time, go to Times Square, and say hello to strangers. Walk over and just say hello. And what you'll notice is that they're very friendly, and 95% of the time, you'll get a very warm response.
Or go on Mitzrayim, right?
It's the 1% that we're...
Yeah, exactly. No, there's going to be failures, but you learn from your failures. You learn from your mistakes. Go out. Engage, and you'll see that it's not as bad, and, you'll learn from that. One more thing that I just wanted to add to that is, take on some hobbies. Take on some challenging hobbies. Challenge yourself on your own time where the risk is not going to be great if it's, within the business world. But do things like, what do? I my personal hobby, one of them, I do landscaping and gardening. In my backyard, I go, I have my vegetables, but I add to that. For example, I just built a water fountain. I had an idea for it. I did a little bit of research, and I built it. It was challenging. You know, there were times where I thought I was going to fail. I couldn't get it right. Ultimately, I built it, and it was better than what I expected. But I got a little bit of confidence because it was an area I wasn't familiar with, and there was no risk because if I failed, it was on my own time. So, you know, the money lost would have been $100, not, you know, if that's a lot, do something that's a little cheaper. But what I gained from that was not only the ability to do it, but to see that I did it. And it helps, it boosts your confidence. It also boosts your ego, but that's besides the point.
One of the best ways, and Yossi hinted to it while Jack was referring to it, if you want to build confidence, go to the airport on Sunday and start, you know, set up a table with film and say, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? Do you want to put on film? Do you want to put on film? I want to tell you, it was one of the best icebreakers. It'll teach you when you go out into the business world to not be afraid to approach people, because you will have gotten turned down enough times that you will have used up your turn down.
There's a lot of people looking for Lubavitchers for salespeople, and especially in the Flatbush community, they're like, send me some Lubavitchers. They're the best salespeople. And it's true, you know, our sales team is made up 75% of Miftzayim goers.